My life felt perfect. Not the kind of perfect you show on social media, but the quiet, real kind. The kind that grows slowly through trust, shared dreams, and late night conversations. I was about to marry Noah, the man I had loved for 6 years, the man who had seen me at my worst and still chose me. Or at least, that's what I believed. Everything was ready. The venue was an old countryside estate just outside the city. It had tall oak trees, a stone pathway, and a garden full of white flowers that swayed gently in the wind. It felt like a place where love stories were meant to begin. That morning, I stood in front of the mirror wearing my wedding dress. My hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from happiness. My mother stood behind me, adjusting my veil, her eyes filled with tears. "You look beautiful," she whispered. "You're finally starting your life." I smiled, because I believed her. My best friend Emma was right beside me. She had been with me through everything. Breakups, failures, dreams, fears. She knew me better than anyone. That's why I chose her as my maid of honor, without hesitation, without doubt. She hugged me tightly. "I'm so happy for you," she said, and I believe that too. Looking back now, that was my first mistake. The ceremony began in the garden. Soft music played. Guests stood, and I walked down the aisle, holding my father's arm. Noah stood at the end, waiting for me. He looked perfect, calm, smiling, but something in his eyes felt distant. I ignored it, because sometimes we choose not to see what scares us. When I reached him, he held my hands. They were cold. The officiant began speaking. Words about love, commitment, forever. And then came the moment. "Do you take Noah?" "I do," I said, without hesitation. All my dreams, all my hopes, everything I had ever imagined was in that one sentence. Then it was his turn. "I do," he said. But something changed in his voice, just for a second. A pause, a flicker. Something I couldn't explain. We kissed. Everyone applauded, and just like that, we were husband and wife. But sometimes, a promise is just a lie waiting to reveal itself. The reception was beautiful. Candles flickered on every table. Laughter filled the air. Glasses clinked. Music played softly in the background. Noah talked to everyone, smiled, laughed, but not with me. Every time I looked at him, he looked away. I told myself he was tired, nervous, overwhelmed. I didn't want to ruin the moment. Emma stayed close to me all evening, too close. But I didn't think anything of it. Because when trust is blind, even the obvious becomes invisible. That night, we entered our bridal suite. My heart was racing. This was supposed to be the beginning, the moment where everything finally felt real. I closed the door behind us, turned to him, smiled. But Noah didn't look at me. He loosened his tie, took off his jacket, and sighed. "I'm exhausted," he said. Flat, cold, distant. I laughed nervously. "Yeah, it was a long day." But he didn't respond. He walked to the couch, lay down, turned his back to me. No good night, no kiss, no love. Just silence. And in that silence, something inside me broke. I lay on the bed alone, still in my wedding dress, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how the happiest day of my life felt so empty. I don't know when I fell asleep, but I woke up suddenly. There was a sound, a faint noise. I sat up, my heart pounding. Noah wasn't in the room. The door was slightly open, and that's when I heard it. A whisper, a soft laugh, a voice, a woman's voice. My stomach dropped. I stepped into the hallway, slowly, carefully. The sound came from the room at the end. Emma's room. My chest tightened. "No!" I whispered, but my feet kept moving, because deep down, I already knew. I reached the door. It wasn't fully closed. And then I heard it clearly. Her voice, Emma, and his, Noah, laughing, whispering, breathing together. Time stopped. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there, as my entire world collapsed silently. I pushed the door open, and there they were, together. Not confused, not surprised, just caught. Emma gasped. Noah froze, and I felt nothing. How long? I asked. My voice didn't sound like mine. Neither of them answered. How long? I repeated. Noah looked down. A few months, he said quietly. Months, while he was planning our wedding, while I was choosing flowers, while I was dreaming of a future. Emma started crying. I didn't mean for it to happen, but I raised my hand. Stop. Because I didn't want lies anymore. I looked at both of them, the two people I trusted the most, and in that moment, they became strangers. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just walked away, back to the room, took off my heels, and left, barefoot, in my wedding dress, into the cold night. That was the night I lost everything. Or at least, that's what I thought. The days that followed were dark, heavy, endless. I replayed everything, every moment, every smile, every lie. But slowly, something changed. The pain didn't disappear, but it transformed into strength. I started rebuilding my life, piece by piece. I focused on my work, opened my own small business. At first, it was just survival. Then, it became purpose. 1 year later, I wasn't the same person anymore. I was stronger, calmer, independent. And then, I met him. His name was Adrian. He didn't try to fix me. He didn't promise anything. He just stayed. And for the first time, love didn't feel like fear. It felt like peace. Years later, Noah tried to come back. He said he made a mistake, that he missed me, that he never found someone like me. But I just smiled, because I had finally found something better. Myself. Today, I sit on my balcony, a cup of tea in my hand, Adrian beside me. The world is quiet, and for the first time in my life, my heart is too, because I finally understand. The worst day of my life was actually the day I was set free. 3 years had passed. 3 years since that night. 3 years since I walked barefoot into the cold, leaving behind a wedding, a love, and 2 people who destroyed me. Time didn't erase everything, but it changed me. The girl who once cried herself to sleep no longer existed. In her place was someone calmer, stronger, someone who no longer begged for love, but chose it. My business had grown beyond anything I had imagined. What started as a small idea had become something real, something mine. People respected me now, not because of what I had lost, but because of what I had built. And Adrian, he was still there, just like he always had been. He never rushed me, never questioned my silence, never tried to compete with my past. He simply stayed, and somehow, that meant everything. One quiet afternoon, I was in my store, organizing a new collection. Soft music played in the background. The sunlight filtered through the glass windows. Everything felt peaceful until the door opened. I didn't look up at first. I thought it was just another customer. But then I felt it, that strange, heavy feeling, like the air had changed. I slowly raised my eyes, and there he was, Noah, standing at the entrance. For a moment, time folded in on itself. The memories came rushing back. The wedding, the betrayal, the night I lost everything. But something was different. This time, I didn't feel pain. I felt nothing. He looked different. Thinner, tired, like life had worn him down. His eyes searched my face, as if he was trying to find the girl he once knew. But she wasn't there anymore. "Hi," he said softly. I didn't respond. I just looked at him, calm, unmoved. "I just need 5 minutes," he added. 5 minutes? That's all it took for him to destroy me once. But now, 5 minutes meant nothing. "Make it quick," I said, my voice steady, unfamiliar even to me. He stepped inside slowly, looking around the store. "You built all this?" he asked. I didn't answer, because this wasn't about my success. It was about his regret. He ran a hand through his hair, nervous, restless. "I think about you. A lot," he said. Silence. "I made the biggest mistake of my life," he continued. "I lost you because I was stupid, selfish." I watched him. The same man who once made my heart race now looked like a stranger asking for something he no longer deserved. "I thought what I had with Emma was real," he said, "but it wasn't." "Of course it wasn't." "After you left, everything fell apart," he added. "We fought constantly. She didn't trust me, and I didn't trust her." I almost smiled, because betrayal doesn't build love. It destroys it. "She left," he said quietly. "And honestly, I deserved it." For a moment, he looked at me with something close to desperation. "I've never found anyone like you," he said. "And I don't think I ever will." There it was. Not love, regret. "I miss you," he whispered. I took a slow breath, and then I spoke. "You don't miss me," I said calmly. "You miss the version of me that loved you without limits." He froze. "You miss the girl who trusted you blindly, who forgave you before you even apologized." His eyes dropped. "But she doesn't exist anymore," I continued. Silence filled the space between us. "I didn't come here to fight," he said. "I just wanted closure." Closure. Such a simple word, for something that had nearly destroyed me. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, I felt something I never expected. Not anger, not sadness. Freedom. "You don't need closure," I said. "You had it the moment you chose someone else." He swallowed hard. "I just thought maybe—" He hesitated. "Maybe what?" I asked. "Maybe there was still a chance." I almost laughed, but I didn't, because this wasn't funny. It was over. A long time ago. "Noah," I said quietly. "There is no us anymore." He looked up, pain visible in his eyes. "You didn't just break my heart," I continued. "You broke my trust, my respect, my belief in you." I paused. "And those things don't come back." He nodded slowly, like he finally understood. "I'm sorry," he whispered, and for the first time, I believed him. But it didn't matter, because apologies don't rebuild what betrayal destroys. "I forgive you," I said. He looked surprised. "But I don't want you in my life," I added. That was the difference. Forgiveness without return. "I'm happy now," I said. "And you're not part of that happiness." His eyes filled with something heavy. Regret, loss, reality? He nodded. "I understand," he said. And just like that, he turned around and walked away. This time, he was the one leaving, and I was the one staying. The door closed. Silence returned. But it felt different now. Lighter. Like something old had finally ended. A few minutes later, Adrian walked in. He smiled when he saw me, but then he paused. "You okay?" he asked gently. I nodded. "Yes," I said, and for the first time, I truly meant it. He didn't ask questions, didn't need explanations. He just walked over and held my hand. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. The past only has power if you give it permission. and I didn't anymore. That night, we sat together on the balcony, the sky painted in shades of orange and gold. Adrian read his book. I sipped my tea. No words. Just peace. And I smiled, because I finally understood. The girl who was left on her wedding night thought her life had ended, but the woman sitting here now knew it had only just begun. Years passed, not quickly, not easily, but steadily. Life didn't suddenly become perfect, but it became real. The kind of real that doesn't need to be proven to anyone. Adrian and I built something simple, something honest. No grand promises, no dramatic declarations, just small, consistent moments. Morning coffee together, late night conversations, silent understanding. And somehow, that felt more powerful than anything I had ever known before. One evening, as we sat on the balcony, Adrian looked at me differently, not with curiosity, not with hesitation, but with certainty. "I want to build a future with you," he said. No pressure, no fear, just truth. For a moment, I didn't answer. Not because I didn't love him, but because I wanted to understand something deeper. Was I ready? Not to love again, but to trust completely again. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I realized something. With him, I had never felt the need to doubt. "I already am," I replied softly. And that was enough. Months later, we got married, not in a grand estate, not surrounded by hundreds of people, just a small ceremony, close friends, family, and peace. No fear in my chest, no questions in my mind, just calm. As I walked toward Adrian, I didn't feel like I was stepping into a dream. I felt like I was stepping into reality. And this time, I knew it was real. When we said "I do," there were no doubts, no shadows, no hidden truths, just two people choosing each other fully, honestly, freely. And that made all the difference. Years later, my life became something I never imagined. My business expanded even more. I opened new locations, worked with people I once looked up to. But success was no longer about proving anything. It was about creating a life that felt right. One afternoon, while organizing some old boxes, I found it. The box. The one I had kept hidden for years. Inside it were pieces of my past. Photos from that wedding. A dried bouquet. A veil I never wore again. For a moment, I just stared at it. Not with pain, but with recognition. That girl, the one who believed in a perfect love, the one who was broken in a single night. She was still a part of me, but she no longer defined me. I sat down quietly, holding those memories, and instead of sadness, I felt gratitude. Because without that night, I would have never become who I am today. Adrian walked in. He saw the box and gently sat beside me. "You okay?" he asked. I smiled. "Yes," I said, because this time, it was true. "I used to think that night destroyed me," I said softly. "But now I realize it rebuilt me." He didn't say anything. He just held my hand. And in that silence, there was understanding. Complete. Peaceful. Final. Years later, I heard small things about Noah and Emma. Not because I was looking, but because life has a way of bringing stories back around. They never stayed together. They broke, drifted, disappeared into their own consequences. But by then, their story no longer mattered to me, because my story had already moved on. Completely. One evening, as the sun was setting, I stood in front of a window and looked at my reflection. I didn't see the girl who was betrayed. I saw a woman who survived, who learned, who chose herself. And in that reflection, there was no emptiness, only strength, only peace. And finally, only love, not the kind that depends on someone else, but the kind that begins within you. That day, I understood something I wish I had known earlier. You don't lose when someone betrays you. You lose when you stay where you're not respected. And I didn't stay. I walked away, and in doing so, I found everything. Today, my life isn't a fairy tale. It's something better. It's real. It's calm. It's mine. And as I sit here, with Adrian beside me, watching the sunset paint the sky, I realize I didn't get revenge. I got my life back. Sometimes the strongest ending isn't proving them wrong. It's proving to yourself that you never needed them to begin with. If you liked this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support me so I can keep bringing more emotional and inspiring stories for you. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know where you're watching from and how this story made you feel. Thank you so much for your love and support. See you in the next story.